Welcome to Julie's Infinite Playlist. Today we have Jack Charles. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Julie. I'm glad to be here.
Good. Awesome. How did you get into music?
How did I get into music? I got into music at a very young age. I was into listening to music avidly at the age of 12.
Yeah.
I remember getting hooked on an album and just not being able to stop listening to it, and just from there just kind of wanting to be part of music.
Yeah.
And I was eventually in a band as a lead singer in a punk rock band many years ago. And it was an amazing experience, and I just always wanted to relive it. But life took me down other roads.
Yeah.
And I just kept coming back to music through the years. And I always wanted to come back to the songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
And finally in 2014, I said, this is it.
Yeah.
And I basically had been, I had picked up the guitar, I had learned how to play it, I learned about music and started writing my own songs, and then I decided to move to Austin.
Yeah.
And just say, let's do this,
Yeah.
And that was in 2014, so really, I guess, officially, I'm in the music industry, or wanting to be in it since 2014, I guess.
Yeah. Awesome. And how did you get the MPIC together?
The MPIC came, it's a funny story, because when I came to Austin, I didn't originally intend to be like a solo act or a solo songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted something more collaborative. It's like, let's do a band, let's get together and collaborate and write cool stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was having a hard time kind of making that happen and kind of convincing people, I guess, that I could do it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just thought, well, while I'm doing it, I've just got to keep creating. I've got to keep making stuff. So I kept writing my own stuff, and I ended up producing an album. And it was kind of after the album that people started paying attention. It's like, oh, okay, all right. It's like, I had proof or something,
Right, yeah.
And that's when musicians were interested in playing with me. But at that point, it's like, it was my material, and so it's like, now you're the guy, and it's not really a normal band. It's you,
right.
You and the band,
Yeah.
So that's I was so grateful to have musicians that wanted to play with me and that were so good that I wanted to kind of give them a name as well.
Yeah.
And I was kind of following like Elvis Costello and the Attractions kind of thing. It's like, well, what would go well with Jack Charles? And I always liked the musical partners in crime thing, because since I was in that punk rock band at one time, it was like, you kind of know what that means. It's like your musical partners in crime is a cool thing. And so that's how they ended up getting the MPIC.
Nice. Very cool. And do you remember the name of the first band you were in?
It was called The Casuals.
Nice. And how many bands have you been in?
I was in one, two, I guess 3 different bands before, over the years. Kind of, there were like things that I tried out and things that I tried doing that never really went very far. But it was about 3 bands before my Austin chapter.
Very cool. And describe your music.
I'm currently describing it, because the categorizing thing nowadays is kind of splitting hairs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm categorizing it as retro rock goth lounge.
Yeah.
And basically, I consider myself sort of a lounge singer.
Yeah.
That's kind of my persona on stage. So my voice kind of lends itself to that as well. I kind of have this Johnny Cash kind of crooner voice going on. So the loungy part of it, and we have a sax in the band, so that really lounges things up.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of retro rock in it. There's early 60s stuff. There's callbacks to R&B. There's a little punk in there. Definitely some post-punk. So it's I guess retro rock would be the best thing. It's alternative rock, in a sense, but I think the retro rock goth lounge kind of sounds cool.
I like it.
Thanks.
Yeah, I've seen you mention that a few times, and I was like, I like that description. That's cool. And what are your shows like?
For me, they're up on the stage. They're amazing. Every show's kind of a learning experience. Everyone is very different.
Yeah.
I've learned to really enjoy myself on stage more.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I think I was like too busy kind of like trying to pay attention to details. And I was like, just breathe and relax and just let your rehearsals work
Yeah.
and just let things flow because the music sounds so much better. I think you perform better that way.
Yeah.
The shows are very relaxed in a sense. I think they're fun. A lot of the songs are, they kind of make you jump and make you want to wiggle around a little bit, a little dancey sometimes.
Yeah.
And then we have other songs that are more profound, maybe, and more, kind of make you think and stuff. So you have kind of like these hills and valleys throughout the performance. It's not like a constant energy throughout.
Yeah.
And it kind of tells a little bit of a story. So I think that's kind of fun and unique, especially in the Austin scene.
Yeah.
There's not much of that going on,
Yeah. Yeah. And what's your favorite thing about playing live?
Connecting with at least one individual
Yeah.
in the audience. And I don't usually use my glasses when I play, and I'm nearsighted.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't really see people in focus when they're like at a distance, but I can certainly see a head nodding or a head banging or somebody kind of jumping up or when they're getting into it. And if I see somebody getting into it, I just start playing for them. It's like there's sort of an energetic connection or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is what it's all for. It's like, tonight it's for you.
Yeah.
And that really turns me on. Is to be able to connect with an audience if they can enjoy the music. That really turns me on.
Yeah. I definitely try to give back whatever the band is giving out because I can just see them working so hard. So it's like, I'm not going to just sit back here and, all right, this is okay. I'm not going to move around, but, I enjoy what I like or what I'm listening to. But
well, it's awesome when you can connect.
Yeah.
Whether you're in the audience or on the stage. It goes both ways, and it's an amazing experience.
Yeah, definitely. What is your writing process like?
I'm very lyric driven.
Mm-hmm.
I do work on musical patterns or chord progressions on their own sometimes, but a song really starts with the lyrics for me. I come from a writing background.
Yeah.
And I've always liked musicians that had interesting lyrics and were just throwaway kind of lyrics.
Yeah.
Or that had some sort of meaning or at least some sort of a wink or a humor or something in them that you can get lyrically and not just musically. So I do put a lot of focus on the lyrics. And the lyrics, I write in metrics. So a lyric will kind of dictate what sort of a rhythm it will have as it trickles off your tongue, so to speak. And then I just started I always write on an acoustic. Most of my stuff is not acoustic, but it all starts on the acoustic. And if I can fool around with it on the acoustic and get a chord progression going, that's where it starts. And then I kind of go into a demo if I really like it.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to playing with the band, I present the demo to the band, and we start doing band arrangements for it.
Yeah.
And then it gets like another personality there too, because it just kind of starts growing different things out, and the bouquet just starts getting bigger and better, I guess.
Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. And who are your influences?
I'm glad you asked me that because I love my influences. I've always been a super Bowie fan. I cannot deny that Bowie is an influence.
Yeah.
But he's not the only one.
Yeah.
There's definitely an American influence in a sense with that just sort of Johnny Cashness. Country has crept into it a little bit, and that really surprised me because I'm not a super country fan. It's like I like some country music, but I'm really kind of picky about it. But it's not something I go to.
Yeah.
But yet, I guess it's in my subconscious, or in my family constellation, or something. In the DNA, it comes through.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a major influence, but it's definitely there. But the post-punk thing is very much an influence. I would say Lou Reed is an influence. There's a touch of R&B in some of the stuff that I say I think is definitely an influence. And I guess sort of early 60s rock and roll.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who do you listen to that you think would surprise people?
Well, Well, now that I mentioned R&B, Gladys Knight and the Pips might not be so surprising because I do listen
Yeah.
to them a lot. Mina.
Who's that?
She's an Italian singer.
Mhm.
I think she's in her 70s now.
Mhm.
She's been around like since the 60s or something. And she's very well, or at least she was very well known in Europe many, many years ago.
Mhm.
But she's a treasure if you're into like different kind of music.
Okay.
She's covered Michael Jackson. She's done all these different kind of weird things.
Yeah.
And she's got this amazing voice, and she sings in English and in Spanish and in Italian and like you name it.
Wow.
Almost. And she probably has, I don't know, 90 albums or something. I mean,
Oh my
and
goodness.
I think she just put out an album last year or something, and she's in her 70s.
Jeez.
So that's kind of a dark, unknown, well, to many unknown
Yeah.
thing that I listen to. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like most people wouldn't think that I would listen to Mina.
Yeah. That's awesome. And if you could write with anyone alive or dead, who would you want to write with?
Alive, I would love a shot with Brian Eno.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or at least have him produce one of my songs.
Yeah.
I love everything he's ever done, and he's a musician and a producer and a musical pioneer,
Yeah.
really, that I absolutely admire. Who else? You said to write a song or produce a song?
I mean, either really. I usually say write, but produce works too.
John Paul Jones
Mhm.
from Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
He's an amazing producer and one of the most outstanding musicians I think ever.
Yeah.
And he's like a multi-instrumentalist, and I think he's actually a really nice
guy.
guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, John Paul Jones.
Yeah.
Now that we can pick anybody, it would be him.
Yeah.
Or Brian,
Yeah. Awesome. And do you play cover songs, right?
Yes.
What's your favorite song to cover?
I love Sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a song by a band called the Mercies from the early 60s, but I discovered it from Bowie on the Pinups album, which is all covers.
Okay.
And Sorrow is on that album. I think it was probably the hit off of that album.
Yeah.
And I love that song.
Yeah.
And with the musical partners in crime, it sounds really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite Austin venue to play?
So far, I love playing Mohawk. I love playing there. The sound was amazing.
Yeah.
I also love the Sidewinder. The Sidewinder was amazing. And
R.I.P. Sidewinder.
I think it's going to come back as something else.
Yeah.
Once they fix up whatever the city
Nonsense.
thinks. I've heard some rumors around there that
Yeah.
they're just going to put some exits in or some.
Yeah, it
some
seemed
kind of
like it was
technical
something
thing.
like that.
But the sound there was amazing on the
Yeah.
outside stage. I have not played on the inside.
Yeah. The inside was
but
usually pretty good too.
The sound was amazing.
Yeah. And where can we find your music?
You can find my music on Bandcamp, on Spotify, on iTunes. You can listen to it on my website.
Mhm.
My website is www.jackcharlesmusic.com. There's some info there. You can connect to the social medias. I guess if you can pluralize that on there and stuff. It's kind of like the go-to place if you want to follow me somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
But you can also listen to the album there, and the album art is also on the website if you want to check it out. The lyrics are all on there, and credits, and
Yeah.
a few cool photos and stuff.
Nice. Very cool. And like I said, this will probably be out like mid-August. Do you have any upcoming shows around that time?
In August, I've got a show with the Austin Alliance. We are all in local showcase on August 4th, I believe.
Okay.
And I think that's it's at Dozen Street, August 4th, Dozen Street. And then I think it's the 21st. I'd have to look at my phone. No, it's over there. I think it's the 21st of August at Carousel Lounge.
Okay. Awesome. I like Carousel.
Me too. Actually, their new PA system's really good.
Is it?
Yes.
That's awesome. Awesome. Do you want to play us off?
Sure.
Awesome.
There is something missing here. Let's keep it crystal clear. There's one thing you must know. Cross that line and you're in my show. I dragged the corpse across the sand. I drew a line across this land, somewhere between the living and dead. I tossed the crown that was on my head, and I'll see you wear it proudly, albeit a little loudly. I'm down with playing it cool, but you reach the line, my line, fool. Use your mind before you cross the line. You don't know what you'll find. I've been up, down and dead. It wouldn't last a minute inside my head. Or could you? There is a decision to be made. Will you be brave or afraid? You can't say you didn't know. You crossed that line and you're in my show. I dragged the corpse across the sand. I drew a line across this land, somewhere between the living and dead. I tossed the crown that was on my head. Use your mind before you cross that line. 'Cause you don't know what you may find. 'Cause honey, I've been up, down and dead. It wouldn't last a minute inside my head. Or could you? Or should you? Or maybe would you think about it? 'Cause I've been up, down and dead. It wouldn't last a minute inside my head. Or could you?
Thank you for listening to Julie's Infinite Playlist. This podcast was created, edited, and produced by Julie Roth, with help from Nick Colbert, and special thanks to Nikki Nadeau. The theme song was created and produced by Animal Abstract. All of the songs performed belong to the musicians performing them. If you like the podcast, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe on Google Play, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Stitcher, and share it with your family and friends. Find us on Facebook and Instagram to keep updated on the podcast and when the bands featured are performing in Austin. Also, check us out on Snapchat to catch videos from shows I go to, and maybe even some sneak peeks. Peeks.